How did that happen? How did it get to the point where police had to wear so many hats at one time?
Because you see penny pinching from federal and state government. You see, in particular when it comes to mental behavioral health care, look, these are oftentimes they're patients that are in the shadows. There's an associated stigma that comes with mental behavioral illness, right? No one, when I talk to crowds and I say, how many of you know somebody or have a family member that has been stricken with cancer? Almost every hand in the crowd will go up. Almost every family has a family member that's had cancer. When you ask how many of you have a family member that's been suffering with mental behavioral illness, a few hands will go up, but not nearly as many. When the numbers say almost every hand should go up too. And there's still a stigma associated with it. There's still a stigma that comes with stepping forward. But if folks aren't stepping forward, it means that the advocacy community around it isn't going to step forward. And when that advocacy community isn't there, it means that when federal and state budgets are allocated, there's that old adage that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. When people are coming up and talking about, particularly when limited resources are limited, where's the money going to go? It goes in part to where people are clamoring for it to go. And when that happens, if there's not a big push to address these big structural issues, and look, mental behavioral health care is expensive. And so folks say, hey, there's not a big clamor for it. People aren't pressuring us to do it. We can cut that and we can fund other pieces to this. But what happens, it's not that by not treating it or not funding prevention systems, it's not that people all of a sudden mysteriously get better. It's not that neglect makes people healthier. It's just the opposite. And so we end up criminalizing it and treating it as a criminal justice issue rather than a public health epidemic. And we have seen with COVID a very clear example as what happens when we don't actually try to address a public health epidemic. It festers and it gets far worse. And that's what we've seen. And we've asked, just like we've asked our essential workers and first responders to bear the brunt of a COVID-19 pandemic, we've asked law enforcement and first responders to bear the brunt of a public health, structural mental behavioral health inadequacy. And the results are not surprising.
Present